Good evening, folks. Sorry, we were having some technical difficulties with Zoom tonight. I would like to welcome everybody to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Cordova Recreation Park District Board of Directors meeting on Wednesday, February 21st, 2020. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. To lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening, I'd like to welcome to the podium our Recreation Supervisor 2, Nina Signer. Following the pledge, our Superintendent Chase Michelotti will do an introduction. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Good evening, Chair Danzel and members of the board. Tonight, I'd like to recognize Nina Signer, our Recreation Supervisor 2 at the Mather Sports Center. Nina has been with the district for 6 years, and in that time, she's overseen youth and adult sports and athletic field and facility rentals for the district. Nina is also our CPRS District 2 Vice President, and she's looking forward to taking over as president in another 2 years. Currently, she and her team are organizing and preparing for spring sports programs and leagues, including our Junior NBA Basketball League with 120 kids registered, the Pee Wee Soccer League, and the ever-popular Spring Adult Softball League. On top of creating and running programs daily, Nina and her team continue to effectively manage a heavy rental schedule of large weekend tournaments and coordinating a busy 5-day-per-week sports field and facility rental schedule at the Mather Sports Center gym, the Mather Sports Complex ball fields and soccer fields, and other parks in our district. We are thrilled to have Nina as a valued member of the CRPD recreation team and look forward to all the new and exciting things she will continue to bring to the district. Thank you to Nina, her team, and thank you, board.
Just lost the agenda, sorry. Plan B, always. Let's move on to number 2, standing action item.
Thank you. This is the portion of the meeting where we deal with any requests for AB 2449 participation, and seeing none, we'll list it as no action taken.
Thank you, ma'am. And item 3, roll call.
Thank you. We received advance notification that Director Mattis would be absent this evening. Director Yearwood.
Here.
Secretary Langen.
Here.
Vice Chair Sloan.
Here.
Chair Danzel.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Let's go on to item B, comments by the public on non-agenda items.
Thank you. I just wanted to welcome everyone on the Zoom call. And this evening, we have one member of the public joining us. Members of the public may address the board on district topics not listed on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. It's a violation of state law for the board to discuss or take action on non-agenda items. Board members may only briefly ask clarifying questions or refer the matter to staff. And at this time, I do not have any requests.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Let's move on to consent calendar.
Thank you. Consent calendar items are considered administratively routine and will be acted upon in one motion unless separate action on a specific item is necessary. The chairperson will consider any requests for discussion on the items prior to approval of the consent calendar. This evening, we have 4 items for your consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any items that would be like to be pulled by staff? No. None? Any by the public?
I see no requests.
And any by the board? Well, C4, please. C4. Thank you. We'll pull item C4. Do I have a motion to approve items C1, C2, and C3?
Chair Danzel, I'll move the board approve consent calendar items C1, C2, and C3.
Thank you. I have a motion by Director Hero. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Secretary Langdon. Roll call vote.
Director Yearwood.
Aye.
Secretary Langen.
Aye.
Vice Chair Sloan.
Aye.
Chair Danzel.
Aye.
And Director Mattis is absent.
Thank you. Let's move on to item C4. Vice Chair Sloan, you had a question?
Yeah, these are two neighborhood parks in the, what's that area? Grant Line development, right? They're pretty close together. I noticed that one was 3 and one was like 5 acres, so it's about 8 acres total. I wanted to know, I mean, the architects or the company that were Santec, the same architects, the same people who did our hillside?
That's correct.
Yeah, did an excellent job. I'm just curious, since we go ahead with this, we approve it, is there a point here where, 'cause we haven't named those parks yet, and we're going into the design phase or just the starting of that where we get some input, or do we already have the input from the optimized plan for that area, or do we have something new coming?
So it'll be the same process as our neighborhood turnkey parks in that we'll work through a conceptual design with the consultant, but that conceptual design or those 2 park designs will be brought before the board for their approval, along with a name, a list of potential names.
And so they're like what, 3 short blocks away or something like that?
Yes, they're very close together. There's a vicinity map in your packet.
Right, I took a picture of that. And is that the site that the school is no longer going to be a school?
No, that is Exploration Park.
The school site?
That's the actual school site now.
There will be a school there.
There will be a school there.
There will be a school.
There was one of our
As far
parks,
as we know.
I thought, but they changed their mind, not going to build a school on one to the left. So when does the naming of these parks come into it and the theme and the?
So that'll be concurrent with the concept plans being brought before the board for your approval. We'll have concept plans for those parks, and there's a tentative schedule also listed in your packet tonight.
I saw that too.
So that those concept plans and those potential names will be brought before the board relatively soon, as soon as we work through the concept designs.
Okay. That's basically it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sloan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion on item C4?
I'll make a motion. We approve consent item number C4.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Sloan. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Director Yearwood. Roll call vote.
Director Yearwood,
Aye.
Secretary Langen,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sloan,
Aye.
Chair Danzel,
Aye.
and Director Mattis is absent.
Thank you. Let's move on to item D, presentations.
Thank you. Item D1 is a presentation of a $2,000 grant award from the Junior Tennis Fund Sacramento. And I'd like to welcome again Nina to the podium.
Okay, good evening, Chair Danzel and members of the board. So I'm going to talk about the Junior Tennis Fund of Sacramento. They are a collective giving organization that supports tennis programs for underserved children in the greater Sacramento area, including Sacramento, El Dorado, Placer, Yolo counties, and part of San Juan and Solano counties. A couple of their special contributions is that they give grant funding to local rec and park districts to help serve underserved children and supply them with great tennis classes and clinics. And they also do $1,000 grants to area high schools, 12 so far, to help them update and accumulate the best equipment, rackets, balls, teaching tools, etc. So our affiliation with the Junior Tennis Fund of Sacramento, we have received since 2020, we've received a total of $7,100, which is pretty incredible. That has enabled us to provide a total of 16 6-week-long tennis lessons to typically first-time tennis players. So that benefited 145 kids, and each child gets to walk away with a racket, which is pretty cool. I want to give a special thank you to Recreation Coordinator Maria LaFontaine, who's in the building. She took the lead on applying for this grant this year, so it's pretty cool. And next year she'll be up here talking about it. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Carol Roll, who's one of the board members for the Junior Tennis Fund.
Good evening, board. Nice to see you again. Some of you I think I saw last year. Nina kind of explained who we are. I wanted to go through a little bit what we've done in the past. We have it basically two programs, which she mentioned is one that we give to Parks and Recreation to encourage them to have clinics for kids that might not be able to learn tennis, probably couldn't go to a club and learn it. And then secondly, we added high schools, and we give $1,000 to each one of our high schools, which is a lot of money for them, for their program. And not only do they get the equipment they need, like balls and rackets and that sort of thing, but they also are able to buy a few pieces of equipment to teach the kids to do certain things like backspin with tennis, which is very beneficial. We also provide rackets to them. Most of our rackets are those donated by tennis players, sometimes former tennis players, and we have them refurbished and restrung. And the club does, or the school does what they want. If they want to keep them and use them year to year, okay. If they want to give them to the kids, let them keep them. That's okay too. The beauty of that is most of those rackets are pretty high quality. Tennis players sometimes tend to be a little fickle about what they play with. So they move along to the newest and the best, and there's probably not too much wrong with these. We're now looking at a third program, and I've mentioned this to Nina, and I'll talk to Maria about it, of having something like a clinic, an ongoing clinic. And this was suggested to me by one of your coaches, and I think it's a great idea. He was saying that, the kids come, they spend a couple of weeks with the coaching staff, and then, some learn, some don't, some drop it or what. But if you have a few kids who have a real interest in getting a little bit better, it might be something that Junior Tennis Fund would like to support. So we'll be talking about that. We hope that will be something this board would support. And we can talk about the costs and the number of kids that can be involved. So in the meantime, I brought a couple of banners that you can put up at your courts. I think you have one, but sometimes the wind does havoc with that. So you now have a couple more. So at any rate, glad to be in participation with this group. They're very professional. I was going to say a lot of nice things about Nina, but it looks like I don't need to do that because somebody beat me to it. But okay, I'll do it. Well, what I wanted to say is I have interfaced with a lot of different districts, and some of them kind of drop the ball, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'll get around to it, and they never do. But Nina's right on the job. So thank you, Nina. I know Maria's going to be the same, and I'm looking forward to working with her. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna do a photo op.
Okay.
So let's have the board come down.
We have one of the banners?
That's photo op.
One of the banners? Is it a banner?
Yeah, if they have one, that would be great. Can we get a banner?
What about the banner?
The photo op?
Banner. Here.
So.
Should we stand in front of the blocks or we?
The background.
Yeah, you just be spread out.
That'll work.
We get you.
So can you share your brand?
You're perfectly in the sun. Yes, good job.
It's good for some.
I'm good.
We're gonna launch here.
He's our grant writer extraordinary.
Yeah.
So we can center ourselves in front of this. Yeah, we gotta move this way. We have to center ourselves in front of the brand. From the.
Snap and get on the ground and pull on it. You know.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Don Maria, thank you, Carol. Carol.
This is where I say.
Yes.
Yeah.
She'll go.
Not the word. Yeah.
So charge, die, charge.
You know better.
Choke.
Don't kick and give for a female.
The choke, move health.
Yeah.
What across this choke.
There you go.
Not a sport. So you go.
Thank you, folks. Let's move on to item E. Item E is community reports. We have none at this time. Item F, public hearings, none. Let's go into the regular calendar.
Thank you. Item G1 is to accept the independent auditor's report and financial statements for fiscal year 2022-2023 as presented, and I'll turn it over to CFO Matt Goodell.
All right, good evening, Chair Danzel and board members. And so tonight we have the independent auditor's report and financial statements for fiscal year 22-23. JJA CPA is the responsible independent firm that was hired to perform this engagement. But before we hand it over to Brett, which I believe is on Zoom, I'm going to give a little bit of perspective from the finance department. The committee, the Budget and Finance Committee, met on January 16th to review and discuss the draft. Probably learned more about qualified and unqualified opinions more than they wanted to, but the good news is we got the good one, so that's important. No major audit findings to report or concerns. After years of increasing the general fund reserves, we did have to dip into it this year. It was budgeted for, it was anticipated. We always hope not to use it, but in a year of heavy inflation, we had to dip into our reserves this year for about $400,000. The golf course, again, did about 1.3 million in revenue, but with projects and operations and inflation, it too went above that threshold at 1.4. And so it dipped in its reserves as well, about $100,000. All funds did remain within budget, and we were able to spend $3.2 million back into our parks and facilities and project funds, which is amazing. I think that's the most we spent out of pocket since I've been here. Overall, I am pleased with the audit, with the professionalism, the amount of time it took for the field work, the draft preparation, and the final outcome. The audited financial statements do represent our financial position as of June 30th. And with approval tonight, I can file with all the appropriate agencies. So with that, I will hand it over to Brett Jones or Fortune, whoever wants to say a few words and insight as well.
All right. Thank you, Matt. As Matt mentioned, my name is Brett Jones, and I was the engagement manager on the audit this year. As he mentioned, we issued an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that we can give. So that's really great news. That's what you want to hear. Our objectives for the audit are to obtain a reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or errors. And in performing the audit with generally accepted auditing standards, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism. That is to say, we are independent of the district. We don't perform any management functions, and we don't make any management decisions. We're truly external party. As part of the audit, we identify any risks of misstatement that may appear in the financial statements and design procedures to address those risks. And our procedures typically consist of tests of transactions and disclosures that are in the financial statements. Additionally, we obtain an understanding of the internal controls of the district and report on any deficiencies that we may have. And we're pleased to report we have no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses that we need to report to the board. So that's also really great. Also, we evaluate the district's accounting policies and reasonableness of any accounting estimates made by the district. Again, nothing to report, everything looked okay there. And finally, we conclude whether there's any substantial doubt about the district's ability to continue as a going concern. That is, you're not headed for bankruptcy or anything like that. And again, pleased to report we had no issues there. Overall, the audit went very well this year. That's kind of what we've come to expect in working with the district. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on the audit process if the board has any. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brett. That's it. That's our report. Yeah.
Thank you. Do I have any public comment on this item?
I see no requests.
Hear anything from the board? Do I hear a motion from the board?
I move the Board of Directors accept the independent auditor's report and financial statements for fiscal year 2022-2023 as presented.
I have a motion by Secretary Langdon.
I'll second that.
I have a second by Vice Chair Sloan. Roll call vote.
Director Yearwood,
Aye.
Secretary Langen,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sloan,
Aye.
Chair Danzel,
Aye.
and Director Mattis is absent.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Another fine year, Mr. Cadell. Thank you.
Yay, not.
Sure. I forgot the bow tie.
No songs, no poems, no bow ties.
Get more hair too.
Oh, so let's move on to item G2 of the regular count.
Thank you. Item G2 is to adopt resolution 23/24-26 to amend the fiscal year 2023-24 Cordova Recreation and Park District final budgets and authorize the general manager to file with the county auditor controller. And I'll turn it back over to CFO Goodell.
All right. Good evening again. So every once in a while, we do have to pivot. We were working off a budget that we created a while back. There are three particular projects with different circumstances that we have that impact two funds that require a board-approved budget amendment in order for us to move forward to make payment. First is in Montalena, our latest and greatest, newest park, the Hummingbird Park. After completion, it was determined that we need to include a fence between the playground and the street. Thought it would benefit the community and be a safety enhancement for that park. The park was constructed by the developer, and so it was turnkey and paid for by the developer, and the fence was not part of that budget. They used their funds. And so the cost of the fence is going to come out of our pocket, and it did cost about $16,500 to do that fence. And so we're going to use 347J Montalena CFT funds to pay for that. The second amendment are both in the Sunridge area. We had a project that we had budgeted for and approved by the board last year to repair the rubberized surface at Heron Landing Community Park. And for $32,000 we budgeted for. And the project was done last year, but the bill that we received wasn't until the first week in July. So we paid it July 6th. And so the cost of it ended up being this year. So we didn't spend any money last year and we spent it this year. I wish all projects started and finished and were paid within a year timeframe, but Laura doesn't do that. And so unfortunately, sometimes projects don't fall within 1 year, right? They are. Oh, it wasn't her project. You're right. You're right. It was a parks project. So I'll throw Jim under the bus. No, it's fine. It's fine. This happens. And we didn't catch it. So now we are catching it. And so it's fine. It's encumbered funds that we had in reserves last year. It's not going to impact any other projects. And so anyways, it did come under budget though. Last year we budgeted 32,000 and it was only, it was less than 13,000 to do the project. So that's that one. Yay, Jim. Yeah. It's a positive.
He was late, but he was under late, but under budget. I'll accept it.
And then the final project that also impacting that area is repairing a section of the sidewalk for $9,400. The sidewalk is our responsibility. And so we needed to take care of that and pay that bill for $9,400. And so if you approve these amendments, they're going to offset our existing revenues. And so they won't impact any operations. They won't impact any other projects. And we'll just keep moving forward. So that's the plan. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
You're welcome.
John, so I have any public comment?
I do not see any requests.
Thank you. Do I hear anything from the board?
Question.
Vice Chair Sloan?
So, that all the damage that we sustained from the last storm, pretty severe. Is that something that the next budget will reflect that?
It depends on if it requires attention. If it doesn't require immediate attention, yes, that's something that will be part of next year's plan. But if we have an emergency situation, we also have insurance that we could put a claim in for to cover those costs. But I know that's being assessed and will be reported out by another. So yeah.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
This doesn't have anything to do with storms, these amendments.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
Chair Danzel, I'll make the motion.
Okay, sir.
I move the board of directors adopt resolution 23-24 or /23-2024. Hold on, start over. I move the board of directors adopt resolution 23/24-26 to amend fiscal year 2023/2024 Cordova Recreation and Park District final budget and authorize the general manager to file with the county auditor controller.
I have a motion by Director Yearwood. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Secretary Langdon. Roll call vote.
Director Yearwood,
Aye.
Secretary Langen,
Aye.
Vice Chair Sloan,
Aye.
Chair Danzel,
Aye.
and Director Mattis is absent.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Let's move on to item H, Board of Directors items, H1.
Thank you. Item H1A is to nominate a district representative to run for election to a 3-year term on the California Special Districts Association Board of Directors, Sierra Network CA, and adopt resolution 23/24-27, supporting the nomination and service on the board if elected. And I'll turn it back over to Chair Danzel.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Do I hear any interest from Director Yearwood in this position, or interest?
No.
That you're interested in putting somebody else up for this?
Am I interested in putting someone else up?
Are you interested yourself? Or
No, I
interested in
am
putting
not.
Somebody else up?
I am not interested in this. Thank you.
Secretary Langman? Same question?
No.
Vice Chair Sloan?
Negative.
Myself neither, so we will move on. We will not be nominating anyone for that position tonight.
And just to confirm, we have
Public.
no public comment requests.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Let's move on to item H2.
Thank you. Item H2A, there was no training over the last period, so we move on to board member reports.
Thank you. We will start at the end with Director Yearwood.
Let me scroll through all of this stuff. Oh, there I am. Yeah, I only have one thing to report on. I attended on January 29th, the community outreach meeting number 2 for the Ranch Community Park here in the district office here. Pretty well attended. I can't remember. There were several other things going on that night. So we were concerned about it. Was definitely a full house. It was a nice presentation. I think the overwhelming consensus of the folks that were there was option 2 was the preferred look to the potential park. The one other thing I noticed there is as we were talking to the public there, we'd mentioned, Montalena, we'd mentioned this and that. People were going, where's that at? Where's that at? So I think we learned that it would probably be good to have some kind of map that we can point to where things may eventually go. Because they said, well, are you going to do something like this? Well, that would probably go here or is going here, that kind of thing. So, but other than that, it was well attended, lots of good questions, lots of good information for folks. And that is all I've got to say.
Thank you, sir. Secretary Langman?
Yeah. I know it wasn't on my board packet, but I did attend the city of Rancho Cordova special meeting for the Little League project, and just good to get a perspective on what's going on, kind of what they're thinking. And so, yeah. And then on February 1st, Rosemont Community Association board meeting, and just good to be able to interact with them and just have some conversation just around what's going on in the community, how people are enjoying the parks and all that good stuff. And then for me, it's getting into Little League season personally for my son. And so I'm out there quite a bit. And so we had our first cleanup day of the fields. And so, yes, that was a lot of, well, I should have taken my ibuprofen before, not after, but it's all right. It's a learning experience. But it's always good to be out there and just see people, using the park, and then just to see, to be able to talk to other people out there in Rosemont. And then we had our roster release as well, just the next Saturday. And so that was just a lot of fun to be out there again. I believe there's somewhere around 120 kids playing Little League in Rosemont this year. And so that's just great to hear and great to see that we're able to partner with them and be able to do such a great job.
When's your opening day?
I believe that is the 9th.
Okay.
I'd have to double check.
You wouldn't mind letting us know that? That would be
Retros is the second.
great. Vice Chair Sloan.
Good. On January 23rd was a 2 meeting at the same time. And that's not easy to juggle, but you can if you have a phone with a Zoom in it. So I went to the Brecken meeting first. At that meeting, we had a presentation of the Larchmont Community Park staging area, what was going on in the levee, the Corps of Engineering, how they're going to go and do that, and what to expect. And so I just wanted to listen to some of the comments. And if you attended any of the meetings prior to that, there's a lot of very good comment. Some of the people are very well educated in this field. And so it'll be interesting. I think our main focus is to make sure that there's little impact to the park as possible, and that there's certain areas they're not going to be blocked off as people want to get to a certain area by a rope or something. So keep an eye on that one. At the same time, I kept looking at the agenda and listening to see when the Little League item was going to come up at the city council. And so I listened to that too, and I was a little taken back, but I understand, they want something brand new. That's what they really want. And I'm hoping, and I'm going to keep asking questions of when and where is there going to be some property in Rancho that will be developed that the city possibly already owns, which I'm hearing is in the works. So we'll see how that pans out. The whole thing about that thing is, I think this is their 60th year. They've been serving a lot of the people, and maybe some of the people on this board went to, I don't know, did you play Little League, Michael?
I did not.
No, did you? Yeah, Brian did. It's served its purpose. It's never really had a lot of parking, but I don't think they've ever really had, only besides opening day, you don't have 1 million people there all the time. So it's like when the season starts, there's games all during the week. The next thing on January 30th, they had the first It Takes a Lincoln Village community meeting of the monthly meeting of the year. And I attended that because I wanted to give them a little update on our list of the capital improvement plans that we've got going on our side of the district. And they're very happy to hear some of the things that are going to be taking place at Lincoln Village Park. Lincoln Village Park? Yeah, Lincoln Village Park. And is it Lincoln Village Park?
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a village, that's why.
Yeah,
and
Lincoln Village.
Yeah. So, and I gotta say that we've been doing lots of little things there, and it's one of our older parks in the district. And of course, as they get older, there's certain areas that need to be addressed, and I think we're doing a good job of addressing those areas. Hopefully, we'll get the bathrooms back on par with the community. That's it. Thank you.
Mine is real short and sweet this month. It's been a rough month for me. I've been out of town quite a bit for family issues. So the only thing I have this month is CRPD. We had the legislative committee on Friday, January 26th. It was an update similar to the meeting I went to earlier in the month of January, learning what we're sitting with and where our focus is for this next year. But then it was also when it was a precursor to the bigger meeting that unfortunately I missed because I was out of town. And I'd like to get notes from whoever, I know, Jill, I believe you went to that, get notes on that. But that first precursor meeting, it was nice to hear what was going on and the focus and some of the bills that were coming and how they potentially could affect park districts or just us as constituents in the state of California. So that is the end of my report for that. Let's move on to item I.
Thank you. Item I1 is the district-wide monthly progress report for February, and I'll turn it over to General Manager Larkin.
Thank you, Clerk Jones. All right, some highlights from the past month. As some of the board members have reported, we did attend the meeting regarding the American River Flood Control Project. They had a public comment period, which was extended to February 23rd, which is this Friday, after receiving several comments, really well-educated comments about the project itself. After that public comment meeting, the staff did meet with the Army Corps of Engineers and the project managers on that site as it relates to Larchmont Community Park being a staging area for this project. So we will be looking to set up a meeting for the board to tour Larchmont Community Park to see what impacts they will be projecting for that particular project. So I would encourage the board members to attend if you're able to when we set that up. We're thinking most likely April, because they do need an opportunity to receive all of those comments and then respond to them. But it will happen thanks to the agreement that we'll have with this Army Corps of Engineers and this project coming forward to the board. So it'll give an opportunity for the board to also ask additional questions that are not responded to in their public comment period. We also did attend the Rancho Cordova Little League work session. The direction is for the city staff to look at different locations to build a larger Little League complex. So just acknowledging the efforts made by our CRPD staff. I greatly appreciate the long 11-year involvement from CRPD staff on that project. And we appreciate the partnership and collaboration with the city on that. So they're on to bigger and better things. And if they're interested in a future property, we will also support that going forward. We also, if you haven't already, respond to Clerk Jones on the 2024 CARPD annual conference, if you will be attending that. If we can get a response as soon as possible so we can register folks, that would be great if you haven't already done so. Coming up in March, we have the District Policy Standing Committee on March 5th. And we also have a PMRID Oversight Committee scheduled for March 12th. We did attend, Clerk Jones actually attended on February 9th, the CSDA Legislative Committee meeting. There were bills regarding topics of interest related to CRPD. A couple of highlights of those are both board staff text messaging, remote committee work, and then development applications and fees were topics that she will be more than happy to share some additional information on as it relates to those pieces of legislation coming forward. In the finance department, on top of all the great reports that Matt had this evening, the first round of tax revenue payments were received at the end of January, and we were slightly higher than anticipated, than we conservatively budgeted, which is basically our philosophy. And so we were happy to see that we're below the intended income mark, which is great for us. We have several recruitments underway with summer camps already being recruited for our part-time staff. We are super excited about landing a principal planner. So we will be introducing that person when they start after mid-March. The Rosemont Community Sports Court Improvement Project. We are still anticipating the Fesco electrical panels to arrive mid-March. After they arrive, we have to get the consultant or contractor out there to install it. So we're hoping for an April, mid-April possibly, opening to the public with a celebration to go along with that. Gold Rush Park is moving along. They're coming close to completion, which is exciting. Aura Park in the ranch development also started construction this winter, and they will continue weather permitting. Talked a little bit already about the American River levee improvement projects. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jill Nuns, the Director of Parks and Recreation.
Well, thank you. So as you all know, we had another storm on February 4th, caused some damage to the parks. Not too bad. Fared pretty well throughout all of our 45 parks. Unfortunately, the golf course did not fare as well. Obviously, you received an email from General Manager Patrick Larkin letting you know that we lost a bunch of trees at the golf course, but the worst was the driving range netting. We lost basically 3 poles, which brought down the netting. And the poles, unfortunately, are going to take 15 to 17 weeks to come in. And so the range is going to be closed for a while. We're hoping for April, but it's probably going to be more in May. So as soon as we're able to get back up and running, we certainly will. But in the meantime, unfortunately, that'll be closed for a while. Golf course is open, cart path only, obviously, because it's a little wet out there. But at least the golf course is open, but driving range will be closed for a while. And then I know last month you talked about the polar bear plunge. Just wanted to give you some kind of final numbers of how much people donated that day to the different 3 different organizations that were there. So this year we were able to raise about $1,300 for the Blue Marlins, $390 for the Cordova Cadets, and $1,400 for our foundation. So again, we appreciate everybody that came out to the polar bear plunge. But most of the money from the foundation will go to the fee assistance, which will allow people to participate in our programs across all different ages. And then for your special event invitation, you can see that we've got 4 events coming up. There's 2 at the Neil Orchard Senior Activity Center, which is the Mardi Gras celebration and St. Patrick's Day, Matt's favorite holiday. And then this Saturday, we do have Arbor Day, the tree planting at Dave Roberts Community Park. The weather is supposed to be gorgeous. So hopefully you all can attend. It's going to be, it starts around 9 a.m. And the holes are already pre-dug. So hopefully we're able to put the trees in pretty quickly and get everybody out of there at a decent time. And then we have hopping and hunting at Hagen, which is on Saturday, March 23rd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And with that, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's move on to item J, informational items.
Thank you. Item J1 is the articles, correspondence, and public outreach. We had 1 article, 1 letter from a Folsom Cordova Unified School District, which was a thank you letter for their donations to the Families and Transitions program. We have the spring and summer recreation guide, which was also distributed to the board at the dais. And we have 2 newsletters. And then item J2 is your calendar.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's move on to the fun part of the evening. Item K, closed session.
Thank you. Before I announce the items for closed session, I just want to announce for our guests on Zoom that typically what we do is end the Zoom meeting for all and then restart the Zoom meeting after we come back from closed session. This evening, we have 2 items in closed session. Item K1 is a liability claim pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9. The claimant is Robert Burton. Agency claimed against is the Cordova Recreation and Park District. Item K2 is a liability claim pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9. The claimant is Rudy Olaguas, and the agency claimed against is the Cordova Recreation and Park District.
Thank you, ma'am. We are going to recess to closed session at 7:17.
In progress.
We will reconvene in closed session at 7:32 p.m. When it comes to closed session items, closed session item K1,
the board rejected the claim, and K2, the board also rejected the claim. At this time, I would like to adjourn the meeting at 7:33 PM until the next regular meeting of the Board of Directors for Cordova Recreation Park District on Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, 6:30 PM. All right, folks.